Namaste. Today we'll be looking at a brief overview of how a soda acid fire extinguisher works. Before that, let's understand what does the word fire extinguisher means. Here the word fire extinguisher is just what you are thinking of. Yes, it's a device that is used to extinguish fire. Now, how does a fire extinguisher extinguishes fire? So we know that there's a fire triangle which basically helps in combustion. Now what does it contains of? It basically contains of three things, including oxygen, which is a supporter of combustion but not a combustible material. Then we have fuel, and then we have the heat energy, which helps any substance to reach its ignition temperature, which is essential for combustion. Here ignition temperature is represented by I, as you can see over here. And next thing which we have to learn, that fire extinguisher, they work on the similar principle, that is they will either remove the oxygen or they will remove the heat energy by cooling it. They won't remove the fuel, as removing fuel is comparatively a time taking process, right? So we'll see at the structure of the soda acid fire extinguisher. So you see this cylindrical material which is red in color. Usually it's red in color, or most of the time it's red in color. It basically contains the mechanism which helps in extinguishing the fire, which we'll be seeing later. Now this yellow color material which is highlighted by blue is the safety pin. This red color material is the operating lever, which I will write as OL. This pipe, it's the pipe through which the gas comes out for extinguishing the fire. And this is the nozzle which further helps in distribution of this gas or spreading of the gas. This particular thing which you see is a glass can which basically contains the sulfuric acid. This orange color material is nothing but the sodium bicarbonate solution, basically the soda, and that's why it gets the name soda acid, because it contains soda, as well as it contains one more thing, which is this particular thing which you can see. So this is basically the acid, which is sulfuric acid, represented by H2SO4. So I write H for this. Now fire extinguisher, they basically work like the principle that is used for working, like how can we operate them. So for operating them we have this thing called pass. Here P represents to pull, we'll pull this lever, and then A represents to aim, that where we have to extinguish that fire, we should be ready. And S, it basically means squeeze, and another S basically means to sweep. Okay, another S basically means to sweep. Now if we come at the next slide, so it basically shows us the working of the fire extinguisher. How does a fire extinguisher works? So as we have seen that the fire extinguisher basically contains sodium bicarbonate, or the baking soda, and it contains acid as sulfuric acid. It's the most powerful fire extinguisher which is used in homes. So we know that the two things which it contains, the main two things which is contained, firstly it's the sodium bicarbonate which it contains in the form of soda, and it also contains sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid is in the glass container. And how it works, see what happens, that we have seen that how does a fire extinguisher looks like. It looks somewhat like this, and here we have a knob like structure, and from here we have the pipes, and this is the lever, operating lever basically. So what happens that when we press on this safety pin and then we pull off this operating lever, then what happens that the glass containing the sulfuric acid, it basically breaks off. So B basically means that it breaks off, And here what do we have? This particular thing, it basically contains sodium bicarbonate, and that too in a solution form. Okay, in the solution form. So what happens that these two mix, and there occurs a reaction, there involves a reaction, and in that reaction what is like as a product given out is sodium sulfate, water, and CO2, out of which CO2 is the most useful thing, as we know that CO2 helps in extinguishing the fire. Now you should remember that sodium sulfate here is along with water, so it's in the aqueous form. Okay, it's in the aqueous form, and this will help in cutting the supply of oxygen, and thus it will extinguish the fire. Now how will it help in cutting off the oxygen supply? Yes, we know that carbon dioxide helps in extinguishing the oxygen not extinguishing the oxygen, but extinguishing the combustion caused by oxygen. So just see, it's because carbon dioxide, that is CO2, is more denser than O2. That is, it's more heavier than O2. So what will happen that, see, suppose a substance is burning. Now it's burning, so we'll represent a flame over there. I know it may not look like a flame, but you have to assume it as a flame. So what will happen that this CO2 will form a blanket over this, thus preventing O2 to act upon this and to support the combustion over here. So naturally, if oxygen is cut off, then the fire triangle would be broken off. How will the fire triangle break? As we know that there are three mechanisms involved. What will happen that this mechanism, this will break off, so we'll create this like this. So as you can see the gap, so therefore it will extinguish the fire. This gap, as you can see, it will extinguish the fire. Now you might be aware that this soda acid fire extinguisher, it cannot be used for electrical appliances. Okay, this cannot be used for electrical appliances. Why? Because the sodium sulfate will be in the aqueous form. We should remember here I have also written that it is in the aqueous form. So what will happen that we know that sodium sulfate in the aqueous form is a conductor, it's a conductor of electricity. So it what will happen that in the case of fire caused by electrical appliances, we know that the sodium sulfate formed, and here it's in the aqueous form, which is acts as a conductor. So when we use soda acid fire extinguisher, it would not extinguish the fire. All right, it would not act as an extinguisher. However, it would act as a catalyst. That is, it would like it would what will it would increase the combustion rate, because this sodium sulfate will act as a conductor. Now, like on the next slide, we have a picture representation of how it works, so I can explain you more better. This is the glass containing the sulfuric acid. This is that this glass breaks, and the sulfuric acid mixed with the sodium bicarbonate. Now when this sulfuric acid it mixed with sodium bicarbonate, what happens? We get several byproducts which will be shown in the following reaction. This is the reaction. So we basically get sodium sulfate, we get water, and we get CO2. Now because we get sodium sulfate which is in the aqueous form, we cannot use this in electrical appliances. So you must remember this particular reaction for the if you want to remember the working of the fire extinguisher, basically particularly soda acid fire extinguisher. And you can also remember is, as we know that here soda, so we have sodium bicarbonate, and here we have acid, so we also have sulfuric acid, and when these two reacts, we get byproduct as sodium sulfate, as water, and as CO2. Hope you found this video very much helpful, and stay tuned for further such videos. Thank you for watching.